Hello, friend. Welcome back to Walking in Magic. My name is Maria Aleandra. You can call me MA. Thank you so much for hopping back. I am currently sitting in the afterglow of a really incredible astrology slash channeling session that I created for somebody. And I was like, I have to record something because there's so much potent, beautiful, synchronistic, delicious energy swirling around us, also challenging and pulsing and like squeezing us in all directions. But I really do always aspire to, and I aspire to explore the points where all the information that we see, both in our chart and the breakthroughs that can happen through that, and understanding what's happening kind of in the ether, in the collective consciousness, the stories that are being woven together, the points of paradox. Oh my God, have I become so much more? I'm calling it. I'm passionate about finding points of paradox in somebody's chart and in our experiences, because those are the points where there's a tension that happens. There's a challenge, and I'm finding more and more that when we explore those areas, that's really where our deepest breakthroughs can happen, the longest lasting, the ones where when we shift a perspective or an understanding around that particular space, magic, like lightning bolts of magic. So I'm, as I sit here, we are just imbued right now with a lot of Aquarian energy. We just had the new moon in Aquarius, which was incredible. I recorded a moon magic message for that if you want to check it out. It's still quite pertinent, gives you a little bit of a behind the scenes of an experience that I was going through and how it was reflecting the energies of the new moon. And as you listen to it, you can connect the dots in your own life to see if there's anything that resonates with things that may have happened to you. That was the purpose of that video. We have Mars and Pluto in Aquarius. I mean, just fueling this action and energy of new, opening up new spaces. Then we'll have Venus waltzing her way into Aquarius, waltzing slash really coming in her quest. I've often spoken about this in past videos, and some of them are in the old channel that I used to have. But I love working with Venus energy, and I wanted to bring her forth in this particular video because we're sitting in this week of Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day, I know not everybody has the same experience with it. So regardless of it, it's a moment in time where there is this emphasis on what it means, right? We are surrounded by it. It's sort of like collectively in that swirl. And I thought, well, this is a really good time to bring online and connect with the energy of Venus. Beyond Venus, Aphrodite being known as the goddess of love, it's sort of more of a pop astrology surface understanding of Venus. She has the potential to be one of the most potent allies for you in your lifetime. I wrote this as I was actually sitting with this client and was talking about the beauty of her bringing Venus as an ally for her based on what I saw in her chart, which Venus, I think, will be resonant for many, many, many of us. Venus wants to take you out of hiding. Venus wants to take you out of hiding. Venus represents the capacity that we have to love ourselves, to accept ourselves, not from a sort of, again, superficial surface, love yourself and self-care. And it goes deeper. It's very foundational. And has nothing to do with circumstances in your life. It has nothing to do with your measure of success based on external metrics. It has everything to do with the essence of who you are. And that's the Venus marker. It's self-worth, it's inner peace, it's balance, it's harmony. It's the senses, it's the connection with the earth, with the realm of Taurus, the realm of us really holding ourselves in the beauty of who we are and everything that represents. I've also been thinking about the idea of writing ourselves a love letter. And what would that look like for you? What would that read for you? I wanted to share some prompts here that you can write down and feel inspired by. I celebrate you today. Fill in the blank. So I celebrate you today, Maria Aleandra, whatever your beautiful name is. I celebrate your strength and your love. I see your beauty. I see you. I may not say it often enough, my dearest friend. Life can feel so bumpy, so sometimes I forget just how much you hold me and how grateful I am. I celebrate your passion, your spirit, your soul, your deep desire for something more. I see your radiance. I see you. Look around at everything you've created. Look around and take it in. No matter the circumstances, you are a miracle. I celebrate you today, Maria Aleandra. Fill in with your name. May you continue to grow and soar. And may love reach even the most shadowy places. So think about writing yourself a love letter today. Writing a love letter to the version of you that you are right now. A love letter to the version of you that has already created and achieved so much that you probably haven't given yourself credit for. We're being squeezed in so many directions of who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do. And a lot of that pressure can come from within. And a lot of that pressure comes from outside of us. And Aries, that incredible North Node in Aries, which continues to show up everywhere, is really, one of the I think, sort of existential question that we face as humans is when everything is stripped away, who you know, who surrounds you, what you have, what you think you are, whatever labels you've been collecting over time, masks, labels, filters, people. When all of that is stripped away and you are at your bare, naked, primordial essence, who are you? It can be one of the most unsettling experiences. And I've had a couple of moments when I've really glimpsed and kind of touched that energy. And it has felt very scary, really scary, because all of a sudden you find yourself in this sort of void. As humans, we are absolutely meant to be in community. We're meant to support each other, to hold each other, to help each other through. And yet, your story, your quest, your path is yours. And when we are walking through life and walking in our magic and walking in the quest to discover what am I meant to do in this grand existence that I have right now, or walking through really tough moments, you're walking solo. Yes, we can and we should have people that can hold us and support us, that can really be there. It can be a challenge to find those people as well. You might be surrounded by a bunch of different people, and yet you may not feel fully connected to any of them. Maybe there's other circles of other souls calling your name, and there's more resonance there. That could be part of it. As you quest on your own individual journey, you will probably bump into a lot of moments when you feel rather lonely and isolated. And it's both a scary realization and also the most liberating realization of all, that you are walking this path yourself. And so when we call in the energy of Venus and self-worth and loving ourselves and trusting ourselves enough to know that no matter what comes along the path, I got this. I will figure it out. beyond needing some map that shows you like a step-by-step plan of like, we are not like there. The idea of having this planned, this is what's going to happen, is so, it can be such a limiting space to live in. And when we are too caught in that expectation and that need to know the next thing, and it's a very normal experience to be in that, but it also cuts off a flow of creative inspiration and newness, curiosity that sparks from not knowing and feeling your way through. There's a difference, and this is where a lot of people ask me, you know, how do I work with my intuition? I would say one of the simplest ways, first, it requires like one trust fall after the next. It's just a practice thing, right? You practice. But I guess a fairly simple way to say it is you go from the experiencing your life based on like, oh, I need this information to move to the next step. You shift into feeling your way through the next step. Feeling your way and then moving that through the faculty of your mind to bring it to form. Your mind that becomes a delivery system and a vehicle for what's truly yours to spark into existence, to say, to share. If you're feeling like you've been in hiding, I highly encourage you to find the breakthrough points in your own chart that will show you where you can go from the feeling of hiding to the courage of showing up, to the courage of speaking your voice and your truth, the courage of honoring your inner spark. This is a time that calls us to have the mind of a visionary and the heart of a warrior. This courageous, tender, fiery space where we are leaning in, engaged with life. And this visionary mind where we are curious enough to be open and willing to receive new insights, to allow the changes and the transformations and the things that are going to fall around us, kind of like fall and do their thing, and have the trust in knowing that from that rubble, we can not just rebuild, but rather rediscover and emerge with even more clarity than we had before. That is so much of what's happening now. Questions around how are you advocating for yourself? How are you trusting and feeding your own inner fire, your voice, your creative energy? What stage are you stepping into? If you channel the energy of the phoenix rising, there's something that is finding its way into ashes and then coming back, plugging in and reconnecting to something that is more aligned and in tune with who you are. And while there is no defined map, here is where working with your chart and the stars is so cool, because we can find this idea of cosmic resilience, cosmic waves that we can ride, opportunity points. I call them pulse points. Pulse points, specifically the ones that are happening from now through early May. And I have a freebie for you if you want it. I'll leave the link below that charts those pulse points. Because they are like mile markers of these things happening that are going to draw us closer to a new dawn breaks. It's like the preamble to that moment. And what's going to happen with this like new dawn breaks? We're talking about like end of April, early May, mid-May. I don't know. It may be subtle, but really deep-rooted. It may be very obvious for all of us. All I know is that, and I'm not the only one feeling into this, that when we sort of tap into the energies of June, July, it just feels completely different. And it's fascinating to sit in that. And then you go, okay, well, what do I do with that? Well, we look at the path laid ahead, and we look at it through the lens of what are the opportunities which are provided by the archetypes of the planets that are meeting in the sky. And the more and more I sit with astrology as this really beautiful tool to weave into your life, is it's not about it being divinatory, it's revelatory. It reveals. And when you learn how to read it, understand it, or you sit with someone that can read it, understand it, and interpret it for you, it's not about this like, oh, tell me what's going to happen. It's looking at all of these opportunity points, mini portals, big portals, infusions of energy activation points, things that are happening that seem both amazing and like unbelievable many times. But they do not cease to amaze me time and time again. I said earlier, I was sitting in the afterglow of having a really beautiful session with someone. It's this new modality I have of working with people called The Session. You can find out more about it on my website, where I look at your chart, I do some channeling, and then we sit together and we do a combination of a few things that really bring everything to life. I create a collage for you. It's really cool, really beautiful. And I could not believe the timing that this incredible human picked for the chart, for her reading. And it happens all the time that I look at it and I'm like, well, wow. There's something going on there that she was completely, did not know, and is living a pretty challenging, living through some really challenging circumstances right now. And unbeknownst to her, this is happening behind the scenes. And then when you get access to that information, it's like you get this book and you begin to read it and you're like, oh, the dots begin to connect. And like I have a client that said to me a couple of times, it's like, MA, every time I sit with you, things just come together time and time again. It just like, that is the gift of a breakthrough through your astrology chart and connecting new threads of possibility that your soul wants to show you, that you're ready for in this moment in time. It's literally like opening up. I thought about this today. It's opening up like a Google search window and asking. It's like connecting in and asking. And then you begin to receive. And then you can begin to interpret that information and then take some sort of action based on that information. See your life shift with that tool. And you can also do this yourself. I think it's really incredible to sit with somebody who's holding the space for you. I've done that myself with a couple of sessions recently where I've sat with coaches, and I hadn't done it in a long time. And it reinforced, because when you go through it yourself, you realize again just how valuable it is, because all it takes is one perspective shift that will make all the difference. One thing, one piece of the puzzle that you weren't playing with previously that completes the picture. And if you're feeling like that, I have a variety of different resources and different levels that you can like just play with it, like engage into it. If you're feeling a little bit, a little hesitation about opening up the portal that is your astrology chart, I'd say dive in and see what you discover. It is a gift that will continue to ripple off into your life in so many ways. And far from it being a sort of x-ray of, well, this is who you are, and this is your sun sign, and this is your this sign, and this is your this. Okay, great, next. It is a living, breathing laboratory of discovery into your own unique cosmic blueprint that's only yours, and nobody else has it, and nobody else can replicate it. And I've been thinking a lot about this, and even to the point where I was like, well, I use astrology and I'm learning about astrology all the time. But why, like if I were to really get down to brass tacks, like really, really like strip everything away, why do I feel astrology is so valuable? Because unfortunately it's had this like, woo-woo pop, like sort of a superficial kind of vibe to it for a while. I don't know if superficial is the right word, but it felt, yeah. And I felt like I was being judgmental about it to myself. Like, oh, you do love astrology, but astrology has this like vibe to it. People say you're an astrologer, and some people are like, oh, tell me more. And others are like, what? And I was so afraid of the what? Like, so that's my own journey that I'm going through on this quest of who are you? Who are you, MA? So who I am is for sure, a guide that uses your stars to help interpret information that is ready for you to listen to and to use in your day-to-day life for small changes and big changes. And if you're not allowing yourself the gift and the opportunity of working with your chart and weaving your own astrology and the astrology happening around us in your day-to-day, I'm going to say it, you're missing out. You really are. It's not just oh, you know what, maybe once and I'm going to have my chart read. There is so much information that you're potentially leaving on the table. Not potentially. If you're not even open to the idea of working with your chart, there is a lot of information you're leaving on the table. And I've sat with enough people and I've sat to understand my own cosmic blueprint as I keep understanding it enough now to know and to pretty much like lay my sword down and say that you are absolutely leaving some really, really vital, really cool knowledge and input if that's not something that you're engaged in. If you don't care at all about it, then that's all good. It doesn't, But if you have a desire, lean into it. Lean into it. And so, it's an incredible time to do that. It will help you with breakthroughs. It will help you activate some visionary mindset energy. It will help you get unstuck. I can pretty much promise you that. Like I always say in my work, well, recently I've been really doubling down on this. It's like I have no guarantees, but I have such deep trust based on what I've seen, based on what I've seen. So much anecdotal evidence of it happening time and time and time and time again. So look at the points happening. Do this yourself. Look at the points happening from now through April. Look at the new moons and the full moons. Jot them down. Put them on your calendar. Look at that very potent solar eclipse on April 8th in Aries. Look at that Uranus-Jupiter conjunction on April 19th. Look at, there's a bunch more. It's stuff happening. There's stuff happening all the time. And they're happening in this like drumbeat of this like crescendo into, it's just incredible. And I did jot down some of the key ones in that pulse points download that you can get. I think I'm going to leave it there. I send you so much love and stardust and just sitting in this messy, magnificent, amazing space that can feel so like an oasis in the middle of really challenging things. An oasis of understanding. An oasis of inner peace. An oasis of, oh, so that's why. Okay. It is. It's like water in the desert. And I think we all need a little bit of that right now. So thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing. You can join my newsletter in the link below. Also check out my Patreon. I have a few different tiers that you can pick from. And other ways to work with me if you feel so inclined to do so at this moment in your life. I would love to see you one-on-one on a Zoom screen like this and make some magic with you. So I wish you well. Have an incredible rest of the week. Adios.